And joining us now, he is the Syngenta fungicide product lead. Logan Romines is with us. Logan, great to have you on, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jesse. Really appreciate you guys having me today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for making the time to join us. We are talking fungicides today, and I know right now this time frame we're out spraying, we're out applying, we're doing a lot of things in the field right now when it comes to our fungicide program. But late planting, disease threats, really, it's top of mind for growers here this season, and that fungicide application, especially trying to curb some of those disease threats. Talk just a little bit about this year with the late planting and some of the things you're seeing and hearing across the country right now.
Yeah, Jesse. So it's really been an interesting year as we think about really the two key diseases or the two big diseases that growers typically think about, depending on where you're at. Southern rust is obviously one that we traditionally experience in the southern United States, a little bit in Nebraska, Kansas, and kind of the southern third of some states like Illinois and Indiana. We haven't had a lot of rain in a lot of those areas, so not a lot of southern rust pressure yet. But the one that's really top of mind for the majority of the Midwest is tar spot. I think most growers are at least starting to get familiar with tar spot if they haven't seen it in one of their own fields last year or in one of the recent years. Last year, we really had a big disease epidemic with tar spot, really big breakout there. It'll be curious to see kind of how that rears its ugly head this year. Typically the weather patterns and things of that nature, the pressure changes on a year in and year out basis. We've started to see some show up in some counties already this year, but not quite to the level we've seen it in 2021 and some other years like 2018. But those are the two big ones. Like I said, tar spot is one that I know I've talked to a lot of growers that had historical tar spot pressure last year, and they've budgeted to make two applications of fungicide this year to just help keep that in check. And then southern rust is the other, and thankfully we haven't seen a ton of southern rust pressure yet this year.
Well, you mentioned budgeting for those applications, and this year, with the way input prices are rising, a lot of farmers really looking closely at their bottom line and their ROI. And when we think about the use of fungicides, it always does seem to boil down to a farmer's bottom line, but it just seems ever important in a year like this, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Jesse. And one of the things that I would encourage every grower to do is run an ROI calculator. We've actually got one on a couple of our different websites for our Miravis brand family, boosterbushels.com, as well as for Triva Pro. And you can actually go on there and put in what you think your average return or average gain is by using a fungicide, however many bushels that is, and it'll pull in the crop price and help you get a better understanding of what that ROI is. And the nice thing with our newer technologies like a Triva Pro or Miravis Neo, Miravis Top, is we get really strong ROI even in the absence of disease pressure because of plant health benefits. We mentioned the press release earlier, and some folks may have seen this, but we're referring to that as cleaner and greener. Greener really referencing those plant health benefits and abiotic stress management. So making sure we get the most yield we can out of that corn plant or that soybean plant, even in the absence of disease.
Well, and you mentioned a couple different products there, the Miravis family, Triva Pro. Talk a little bit more about those products if you can, and what makes them cleaner, greener, and what stands out with those products from the Syngenta portfolio, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. So cleaner and greener, right? We talked about that. That's really how you're going to hear Syngenta refer to our fungicides going forward into the future. Cleaner, everybody's pretty familiar with that, and that's really all around disease control. That best in class disease control you get on a whole host of diseases that we see on a year in and year out basis. And greener is really how we want to talk about those plant health benefits. And that greener mantra kind of came from the visual greening effect that we see in the field with the Miravis brands, with the Triva Pro brand. So when we think about this, it really boils down to three things, Jesse. That's increased light efficiency. So that plant is better able to use light because of the Miravis brands or the Triva Pro brands, and that leads to increased grain fill, increased water use efficiency. So we lower that plant's need for water. It's able to use that water more efficiently. Therefore, in times like drought, that plant is still able to operate closer to a maximum level. and then increased harvest efficiency. So we know based on standability and some things like that, we've got a lot of really good data from University of Minnesota and Michigan State as well that speaks to the fact that when a grower doesn't have to slow down because of lodging, they actually save time, obviously, but they're also saving fuel. So that's a really big benefit, especially in a year like this year with the diesel prices where they're at.
Well, a year like this year, and also I think farmers, if they're already thinking about 2023, maybe starting to make some of those budget considerations for products getting into next year, just with some of the uncertainty surrounding input prices and crop prices, the commodity markets heading into next year as well, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I would challenge growers, at the end of this year, sit down and look back on the input decisions that they've made and see, okay, I made input decision X. Did that cost me money or did that make me money? And that's really what I would encourage growers to do is take a really hard look at the input decisions that they made on an individual field by field basis and use that as kind of your playbook going forward into 2023 to determine, hey, maybe I need to change some things. Hey, maybe I know that decision A, B, or C is working, and I want to carry that forward into 2023. But with input costs doing what they're doing, that type of decision making is going to be really critical for growers going forward.
Logan, I know you mentioned a couple of the websites with the ROI calculator, but I'm sure if folks want to learn more, they can go to Syngenta online, reach out to their local sales rep as well. A lot of different ways to find out more information about your family of fungicide products, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Syngenta.com. You can find a ton of information there. You can reach out to your local retailer, talk to your local Syngenta sales rep. Tons of ways to get a hold of us there and find out more information about our products.
Logan, before we run out of time, real quick, any other final thoughts? Anything we haven't mentioned here today about the Syngenta family of fungicides?
No, I think we've covered it, Jesse. We're really excited this year to talk about that cleaner and greener mantra. And just to remind folks again, cleaner referring to disease control and greener to our best in class plant health benefits with our TrivaPro brand and our Mirabis brand family. And again, I would encourage growers run that ROI calculator. And if that math makes sense, and we're confident that it will, go ahead and make the decision to apply fungicide this year.
And again, more information can be found online, syngenta.com. With that, Logan Romine, Syngenta fungicide product lead. Appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us here today, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jesse.